Have you ever found yourself stuck trying to convert a file format only to hit a wall? It can be incredibly frustrating, especially when you know there's a solution out there. Today, we're diving into how to convert a jar file into a Linux executable file. I totally get it. You might be wondering why converting a jar file to a Linux executable is so tricky. You're not alone in this struggle. Many users face the same challenge when transitioning from Windows to Linux. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. One user asked, how do I convert a jar file to a Linux executable file? They mentioned they already know how to do it for Windows, but are stuck on Linux. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So what makes this conversion challenging? Unlike Windows, Linux uses different executable formats, and jar files are typically run using the Java runtime environment. Understanding this will help us find the right approach. And stick around. I have a handy tip at the end that will make running your Java applications on Linux a breeze. To convert a jar file to a Linux executable, the user should start by ensuring that they have Java installed on their Linux system. This is essential for running jar files. Next, the user needs to create a shell script that will execute the jar file. This script will serve as the Linux executable. Now the user should edit the shell script to include the command that runs the jar file. This can be done using a text editor. After creating the script, the user must make it executable. This is done by changing the file permissions. Finally, the user can run the script to execute the jar file. This will launch the application as if it were a native Linux executable. Fun fact, did you know that the first version of Java was released in 1995? It has come a long way since then, and it's still one of the most popular programming languages today. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach to convert a jar file to a Linux executable is to first run it using the command java-jar myfile.jar. To make the jar file itself executable, you need to set the executable bit with the command chmod +x paths to your/file myfile.jar. After that, you can run it directly with /myfile.jar. That's the end of that answer. Let's see another perspective. One alternative solution comes from a user who suggests using the Packer tool. This tool can help you create a native Linux executable file from your Java application. That's all for that response. Let's see what someone else had to say. An alternative approach to converting a jar file to a Linux executable is to use an alias. Instead of creating a shell script, you can add an alias to your .bashrc or .bash aliases file. For example, you can write alias whatever equals java jath path to whatever.jar. This method simplifies the process without the need for a separate script. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. An alternative approach to converting a jar file to a Linux executable is to create a desktop configuration file. This method is more suitable for Linux environments. Here's that handy tip I promised. Always ensure you have the latest version of Java installed on your Linux system. This will help avoid compatibility issues when running your jar files. And there you have it. You now know how to run a jar file on Linux using a shell script. Remember, with a little creativity, you can tackle any tech challenge. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button for more tips, and don't miss our next video on optimizing your Linux experience.